meeting to order. I think it's already a little bit past 6, yeah, a couple of minutes. Alicia,
I forgot the flag. Can we pretend? And we can still do the,
was it following?
yeah, we got,
Alright, we don't have a flag in here.
can we pretend?
Alicia, would you lead us in an opening prayer, please?
Gracious Father, we thank you for this great day. We thank you for allowing us to assemble together here tonight for one more meeting. Father, we ask you to just have your way in this meeting tonight. Father, lead, guide, and direct us in the way that we should go. Father, we ask you to just bless each and every one that is present here tonight. Father, we ask you to just cover us up under the blood of Jesus. And Father, as we leave this place, going back to our homes after this meeting, we ask you to just cover us, give us your grace and your mercy as we travel home. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
We apologize, we're gonna omit the pledge of the flag because we forgot to bring the flag over. Okay, the approval of minutes will be approved for our next meeting, which is our regular meeting. This is just a work session. So this work session is for us to get together and set the agenda for the regular meeting. So under mayor's update, financials are not quite ready yet, right there.
They're in their packets.
Okay, in the back. Alrighty, so by our next meeting, y'all look over the financials. And that's really all I have for mayor's update, and I'll turn it over to our attorney now.
Okay. First thing under attorney update is the SLOSS reimbursement. I ran into Walter Gordon the other day in court, who's the county attorney, and he said he'd be sending me something regarding this sometime soon. So when I receive any word from him on behalf of the county, responding to the letter that I sent a few weeks back, I'll let y'all know. That's the only update I have on that. Second thing under attorney update is the Downtown Development Authority resolution. I had sent y'all last week a proposed draft of a resolution that would enable the Downtown Development Authority. As we've been discussing it over the past few months, basically under Georgia law, the legislature has created a DDA for every single municipality in Georgia. It is up to that municipality to enact a resolution that would bring the DDA to life, so to speak. And the way to do that is to pass a resolution. And in the resolution, you'll see that there's certain language and things that, and other things that needed to be cited in order to enact the DDA. And also one of the things that you gotta do is you have to appoint board members to the DDA. And I think that was something that y'all were putting together a list of possible people to put on the board. And so I don't know how y'all wanna do it, whether they come in and interview or they come in and speak in an open meeting or anything like that. So you did have applications, okay. And so y'all would have to meet and decide who to appoint to that board. We'd also need to check the qualifications because the statute does require them to either live within the city limits of Bowersville or have a business within the city limits of Bowersville. And there's also limitations on who can be on there. There has to be one person from the council on the DDA, only one person. And then I want to say that the number of people who have a business in Bowersville but live outside the city limits, I want to say that's capped at 1 or 2. I'll double check that. And then everybody else has to live within the city limits of Bowersville. So the people that you've got applications for, we probably need to check their qualifications to see whether they live within the city limits or if they have a business in the city limits.
Doug, what I read in the manual was, person had to be a taxpaying citizen of Bowersville.
That is, the majority of the board has to live within the city limits.
Well, live, live.
Or have a business.
I would say you either have to be domiciled in Bowersville, which means you live here and you have an intent to stay here,
Okay.
or you live outside the city limits but have a business within Bowers. So yeah, that's what the statute says.
But it also says must be a taxpayer citizen, and renters don't pay taxes.
Well, I don't think it is a requirement for property taxes.
Well, it just says taxes. I guess
Yeah.
everybody pays taxes.
Everybody pays some sort of sales tax, income tax, some sort of thing. So I would just say if they live within the city limits of Bowers and have an intent to stay here, they're a
I
resident.
just wanted to
And would be eligible.
be clear on that.
Yeah, no, I don't think they have to pay property taxes to be eligible.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? Just curious, how many people applied for?
8. So,
Were y'all wanting to hold?
might be 9.
Interviews?
You can't do it tonight.
No, they didn't.
Not at a work session.
That is work
Yeah,
session.
I had been asked to look into whether you could go into executive session to do that. I drafted a little memo that I sent out to every one of y'all.
It's here.
And,
I brought a copy.
yeah, you responded back sometimes. But anyway, the council can actually go into executive session to discuss the appointment of people to the DDA. I'd initially thought you couldn't, but I did a little research, and the people who are being appointed to the DDA would be considered public officials, and the Open Meetings Act does allow you to go into executive session to appoint public officials, and so the DDA member would comply with that. So y'all not required to, but if you did want to go into executive session next week after the meeting to discuss that, you can. You have to come out of executive session in order to appoint them and have a vote that's in public with the actual discussion of applicants.
Because that would be considered personnel.
Yeah, that's correct. They're not employees, but they are called public officials, and so yeah, you could go into executive session.
Okay, we'll try to do that next week when you come out. Could we then approve the resolution since we would have the people?
Yeah, you would, I imagine you'll go into executive session to discuss the DDA appointments, if that's what you want to do. Discuss it, come out of executive session, vote on the names of the people that you want on there. And then from there, you can make a motion to approve the resolution. I have been asked about the DDA and the permanence of it and what sort of control the city had over the DDA once it's started. Be mindful that the DDA is a separate entity. You aren't gonna control it. You'll have one person appointed to it from the council to the DDA. The city council can't tell the DDA what to do once it's set up. There are 3 things that the city council can do once the DDA is set up. You can change the DDA's boundaries, because when we do the resolution, we have to actually pick out the boundaries for which the Downtown Development Authority is gonna be. And I think y'all already got a map set up. So later on down the road, once the DDA is established, you can change the DDA's boundaries. The second thing y'all can do is you can appoint new DDA members if there's a vacancy. So if somebody passes away or quits or something like that, there's a vacancy, you can appoint a new member to the DDA on down the road.
Question
Yeah.
regarding that. They're gonna be, they'll have 4-year terms, starting with Call and Welcome, their implementation.
It's staggered to begin with, and
And then after the 6 years, then
that's right. So the council member who's appointed to there will be on there for their council term. 2 other people will be appointed on there for 2-year terms. 2 other people will be appointed on there for 4-year terms, and then 2 other people will be appointed on there for a 6-year term. Once all those people have cycled through, then at that point, it's 4-year terms going forward. So the staggered part is to just keep it online initially, but on down the road, it'll be 4-year terms.
Now, when those terms are up, does the council appoint new members, or does the DDA get their own members?
No, if there's a vacancy, y'all get an
Council.
appointment, that's correct.
Okay.
Right. And then earlier I was saying there are 3 things that y'all can do. The first is change the boundaries, the second is appoint a new member if there's a vacancy. The third would be disapprove any bonds that the DDA may try to issue. towns of this size typically don't issue bonds just because there's not enough revenue, and nobody's gonna, loan you or buy your bonds. So, but if we were a bigger town, then they could, and y'all could get some pretty good ones. And then I was also asked, can y'all dissolve the DDA once it's set up? You cannot. It's, the Downtown Development Authority is what's called, it has a perpetual existence according to the statute. So once it's enacted, it's there forever. You also can't remove directors from the DDA once those directors have been appointed to the board. So if you appoint somebody to the board and the board's doing things you don't like, tough, you can't do anything with it. Now, if they get off the board for passing away, or if they quit or something like that, you can appoint their successor, but you can't remove them, for cause or any, without cause, just because you don't like it.
And that can the DDA?
Yeah, the DDA, once it is established, they will meet, and then they're gonna have to put together some bylaws and things of that nature. And their bylaws will set up how they can remove somebody, and it's usually for cause, if somebody's broken the law or something like that. But yeah, that would be for the DDA to set up.
Now, in the manual, it talks about, a person from the council may be a member, but you just said it has to be one member of the.
Now, my reading of it is there has to be one council member who is on the DDA.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
I read the same thing,
Oh,
so I don't know if it's conflicting, but I think it's wise to have someone on council, so then everybody knows what's going on that part of it. But I think it's contradicting, one pamphlet says they may, and then the other one it says you have to.
I'll look at
so-
the law, but I'm pretty certain that there has to be one member from the
Okay.
council that is on the DDA, but I'll double check.
well, that was the first impression I had, but then, when I read that manual, it come up with well, I've never seen it.
I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure that one council member has to be on the board. I'll check.
Are we in a little bit of a different situation in that the municipality basically owns most of the structures that would need renovation? So we would have to approve anything they did with those structures?
Oh, that is true. I mean, Bowersville is different than most towns. There's not as much private business downtown, and the city does own a lot of property. So yeah, the DDA can't do anything without the property owner's consent. And so if the property owner is the city, then you're right, they're gonna be a partner with the DDA. Or if they wanna work with the private owners of private lots to do whatever they wanna do, they can do that as well. There was another thing that was brought up to me, is that since this thing is permanent, once you set it up, you can't pull it back. And I know it would not go into effect until the new year anyway, at the earliest. There may be, y'all may wanna hold off on that, because I know that there's gonna be half of y'all, I think, that are rolling off the council or whatever. I mean, you're not required to. If y'all want to enact it with this board, you can, and you can wait till the new board comes in. But that is something y'all consider.
The only thing I see about the whole thing, I'm just, for no control over something, and you're elected official, you're councilman and you're mayor, you have no control over the authority.
Okay,
You can have a
That scares me.
But they can't do anything with the chief property, the park, or this building here, which is basically all the structures in town, because we own them.
We had discussed this initially, but it kind of got pushed to the side. But you don't have to do a downtown development authority in order to do some of the things I think y'all want to do, which is just create economic growth. There are things like a Main Street partnership. Y'all have done some reading on that. I think we had discussed that, which would be under the city's umbrella. It's not a separate entity, which can do a lot of the same things that the DDA can do as far as promoting business. DDAs are good for, I would say, for larger cities that have the ability to either borrow money or to issue bonds to generate revenue to do projects. Bowersville, not to that point. It won't be to that point, I imagine, for a while. So a Main Street partnership, I want to say that Hartwell's was a Main But it can do a lot of the
I
same
know
things as
they've
far as.
changed a
They
little
did.
bit lately.
I think they now have a DDA, but in
But they
recent
did.
years, it was, I want to say a Main Street partnership, and so the council still has control of that, and that could be your entity in which you can promote the city and try to lure in businesses or whatever y'all want to try to do with that. So that may be worthwhile looking into as well. Because I remember discussing that with y'all to begin with, but then we kind of latched onto the DDA. So, I mean, y'all, it's up to y'all. I'm just giving you your options. Anything else on the DDA? The next thing I've got under attorney update is the agenda policy. I was kind of asked to, let's see, was this the one about people speaking at the meetings?
To make the work session just
Okay.
a work session.
I think our policy right now for the city that we enacted way back when was that people can speak at either a work session or a meeting so long as they come ahead of time to sign up for it. I was asked whether we had to do that. You don't, I mean, y'all set the policies, the council can change the policies if you wanted to. And I was asked whether you could just make it only on meetings, regular meetings, to have people come in. And you can do that if you want to as well. My opinion, and y'all don't have to follow it, but my opinion is I see two different types of speaking requests typically. One is people who come in and they want the council to do something and vote on it, like, you know, run a water line out to my place, or, you know, I need garbage at this house or something. They ask y'all to affirmatively do something for them. Those people I would require to sign up ahead of time, because, so we can put it on the agenda, so we can either do our research to try to find out whether we can provide the service or not. But also, in order for y'all to vote on it, it needs to be on the agenda. So those type of people I would require to sign up. The second type of people that come in are people that just have questions or comments about certain things. They're not asking you to do anything, they just want information. Those, I don't know if it's beneficial to have them sign up ahead of time, or maybe just sign up the night of that they're there, give them a couple minutes at the end. But I know a lot of cities do that, where like if somebody shows up and they wanna have a question answered or something, they shouldn't have to sign up 3 weeks ahead of time. Because a lot of people don't know if they're gonna be able to make a meeting 3 weeks ahead of time. So that's just kind of my feeling on things. Y'all do whatever you wanna do, but I just see a difference there in things that probably we need to have people sign up for and things we probably don't.
The only thing about, not having somebody on the agenda to speak, I can see where it could get to be a runaway train, and, things can get out of hand and out of order.
And we've got policies in place that cap the number of minutes that people can speak and things like that. So I mean, I get that concern, but I think, what is it, 3 minutes currently that somebody can speak?
It's five.
It's 5?
5 right now.
Yes, I mean, you give 5, and I don't know if we've ever had anybody speak for 5 minutes. Usually
We have.
we have, but, I mean, it's up to y'all. It's y'all's call. I'm just saying, y'all got options.
Now, is that a set policy? Because, during one of our meetings, there were so many people here, I reduced it to 3 minutes.
And that was fine, yeah, on things like that, you can reduce it, I mean, I think everybody pretty much, if they want to speak. Kelly, I think you have.
That's okay with me. I don't know how y'all feel about it.
I was just saying that our work sessions should be trying to concentrate on what we have
Yeah.
to focus on, and maybe give them a little bit more minutes on during city council time. I mean, just kind of balance it out, you know. where-
Yeah, that's fine, like, the state law doesn't require y'all to have anybody speak at your work session, y'all can check whatever policy y'all want, y'all can have.
Typically, when we set up our work session, it was just for us to be able to get together and get work done.
Yeah.
So that when we got to the regular meeting, you know, we had focus and we could get it done. Because you can only vote, there's some things you can only do at a regular meeting.
But the other side of that coin is, if they can only speak at the regular meeting, they don't speak at the work session. And the work session is where you set the agenda for the regular meeting, then they wouldn't get since they speak at the end of the meeting, and a regular meeting is when we approve and vote for things, then if they wanted to influence some way by talking, well then, that'd be too late.
we let them speak first and then we'll go into our work session. I mean, it'd be better to let several speak here than have everybody speaking at the regular meeting. That's just my opinion on it.
Well, I think that's a good opinion. I think we need to be able to do our business and then have speaking at the end, and then that way, we can wrap.
At the work session, having them speak at the beginning might be a good thing. That way you can have opinions with what we're working on.
Yeah, as a work session, would that be, I mean, normally public comment, they can speak about anything they want to, but if they wanna speak about something that would be actually on the agenda, they can have the agenda as a work session anyway, so. Either way. I think you might be right, the beginning of the meeting might be better. Most time our agenda, it's like a soap opera. It goes, like this agenda, if we're getting ready for this agenda for next week. And then after, the regular meeting, then the agenda for the next month will follow the previous month's agenda. And so it goes on and on. So if you have been attending the meetings or reading the papers, then you pretty much know what we are doing.
Do we need to kind of decide what we're gonna do?
Well, yeah, but we need to come
Discuss it.
together. I mean, I think we should at least be, let the audience speak sometime during the meeting. I know the county, they have public comments after a lot of their items.
I don't believe do they have work sessions?
I don't want to.
I don't know.
County.
County has work session.
I've never heard of a work session being published.
Since this is a work session, can we speak?
No.
That's what we're discussing.
Well,
Can I make a suggestion?
that makes my point.
Okay, I know that I've talked to one council member and they think that it should just be a work session, okay? If you go that route, then, that's fine, we can get everything done and all of that, and then there would just be no public comment, if I'm understanding this correctly.
So in other words,
And
if
then-
it's a work session, somebody raises their hand, then go ahead and let them speak.
No, I'm not, that's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to understand what the 2 points are. One of them is that we have a work session and that nobody is allowed to talk, no discussion, no people talking at the meeting. We have the thing and we can discuss everything we wanna discuss, but no interaction with the audience. The second thing is, and if you did it that way, then we could, they would be able to listen in, get the agenda, and then if they have something to discuss, then they would, have until like Wednesday of the meeting, the week before the day before the regular meeting, which would be Wednesday at 5 o'clock, cause right now you have to do it the first week of the month.
Right, and you were talking about.
Right, and then just extend it till Wednesday the night before if they wanna get in and speak. My opinion, just as the clerk, which I'm not supposed to have one, but I do, is that they should be able to fill out a paper to discuss what they're gonna talk about, give them their time to discuss it, and then it's nice and orderly and it's done. That's my opinion. Okay.
Can we just discuss it and maybe make a decision up next Thursday?
Yeah, you'd have to vote on it,
I know.
because it's a policy change, so,
Let's just-
but this is what it's for, discuss it. Whatever y'all want.
We need to come up with something that is fair to the citizens and fair to us, because, I mean, we want to hear them because
We wanted them here.
that's right. I mean, we fussed about people not being here for so long, and we have people here now, and we want take with us. I think the issue is, we want it to be civil and orderly, and everyone to be able to be heard, or that's my feeling. I
So
don't know.
ask us.
Well, you know, at the work session, it should be informal. It should be orderly. Informal doesn't mean it's chaos.
Right.
Uh,
I'm wondering if we should have people speak more at the work session than at the,
Well,
we
like,
regular session.
like when Mr. Butler raised his hand, I really wanted to let him speak then.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm thinking that, you know.
And you could try it out one way, and if it doesn't work,
As long as they're talking about the subject that's at hand, and not just bringing up, you know, whatever. That's my feeling, you know, the work session is designed to set up the agenda for the, regular meeting, so that the regular meeting, we can go in and do our voting and, you know, do our business like it should be done. So I just I'm kind of pulled two different ways, I just feel
Yeah.
like,
Well,
most people are gonna be, go ahead.
we wanted them here. We begged for them to come here, so they're here. So now, we need to hear whatever we have on this agenda, and they wanna talk about, that's what we need to let them do. We don't need to talk about anything that's not on the agenda, only what's on the agenda. If you speak first, we can go ahead, it's a work session. If you speak first, we can get everything on the agenda for the next meeting. The next meeting can just roll through and we going home, if we can keep it in order. But we wanted you guys here and you're here, and we thank you for coming. So we have to give you the opportunity to speak on what's on the agenda, nothing else. If you can come in and speak on what's on the agenda, we will let you guys speak first. I don't care, everybody can speak. It doesn't matter, as long as it's pertaining to the agenda. And then we set it up, we setting this up, and then the next week, we can boom, 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 these things and go home. It shouldn't be a long, drawn out session. Shouldn't be.
well, that was the point I was trying to make when I said that, is that they're not gonna get the agenda until the night of the meeting. So are you just gonna like give them the agenda, and if we're discussing the agenda, if they have something pertinent to say about the agenda, then that would be fine. But, you know, when you're gonna do it while you're going through the agenda, if they speak first, then, you know what I'm saying? If they have a question about the agenda, then they should be able to raise their hand and be recognized. Now, another thing is if you're talking about the agenda, just talking about the agenda, then would you have them fill out a form
No.
to speak? Well, then, how are they going to speak on other things besides just the agenda?
I say we let them fill out a form, let them speak at the end of the agenda, so after we go through everything, then if they want to question something, then we can.
have a public comment.
Yeah.
Have public
Yeah.
comments.
So no
So
form?
I say we do it at the end, so if they have a question after we go through, but so there's gonna be some nights that we're gonna take a little longer, so.
Because it is a work session, and we can correct this at the end in order for it to be on the next meeting, to be voted on or whatever.
Yeah, the purpose of the work session is to set the agenda for the regular meeting.
That way we can vote on things and keep it moving.
I think we say, we do it at the end,
Oh,
and then let them
That
feel
way,
still.
everybody will have heard everything and have thought about what they wanna say.
That's true.
And then they have to fill a form out and,
during the meeting?
no, the first, like we do normally, right?
But they're not gonna see the
I
agenda.
know they're not gonna see the agenda, I'm not saying, they can fill a form out, speak, and if whatever's on the agenda, if they wanna talk about, they have 5 minutes to talk about it.
understanding that. So if they gotta fill out the form before the work session,
Well, the
and
first
then how are they gonna know what they wanna talk about? I mean, I don't understand, so if it's not on the agenda, they don't get to talk?
Well, if there's something they're coming, you know, in particular, they can write down on the subject line, cause isn't there a line where they can say what their question is?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I'm just throwing out some idea, I don't know, y'all, I mean,
My personal opinion is, somebody wants to talk about something, let them talk about it, whether it's on the agenda or it ain't on the agenda. I know once I get out of the office here, I'm gonna be over in them seats, and if I'm gonna speak, I'm gonna speak.
No, you ain't.
Can I go ahead and just speak, cause I'm at the end, I'm gonna go ahead and, cause what I wanna speak about is this topic.
Okay, I won't let him speak, so I can't let you speak. I'm sorry.
It's on, you're in there though.
I mean,
You're
this is
gonna
what I'm
speak.
gonna address, so
That's
I'd
what we
rather
was
just
gonna talk
talk about
about.
it.
I'm kinda thinking, I'm like, you know,
Say
we're
this
talking about
ridiculous.
a topic and the public wants to make a comment, as long
Let
as
them
we are
speak.
orderly and respectful, I feel like it's better to discuss it at that time
At that time.
than
Because
to
that's what we're
wait
talking about.
I agree with you.
until
That
then.
was
I
our
agree
whole
with you,
point.
but I agree that the policy needs to be changed before I can open it up. You know, no offense to you or you, it's just the way the policy is, and the way it is
But
now.
make exceptions for some people.
And the way it is now, you can't treat one person this way and the
Oh,
other
I
the
know,
other.
I know.
And so once we change the policy, then we can, somebody can raise their hand and I can say, David,
Okay, so maybe next week at the meeting, we need to, everybody think about this, and we need to be able to make a decision about how we want this to go. We can't continue talking about it tonight. But I feel like my personal opinion is, at the work session, it is a work session. So, if we're talking through the agenda, if a citizen has a question, they could raise their hand, they would have, you know, a limited, I mean, we're not gonna go all night about something, but sounds like it would be better to go ahead and resolve the issue then, than having to rehash something at the end of the meeting.
and I agree with that.
And like she was trying to make a point, we can discuss all of this when she brings up her points about about the situation, and then we can move on and everybody can talk when she's talking.
We just need to set the policy like we were talking
Yeah.
about,
And listen to her input.
Yeah.
so. All right, moving on.
The business licenses, I don't know if that's, is it?
Oh, I'm sorry, that was, somebody turned into a business license for a consulting thing, and I know we discussed this beforehand, way back when, like 3 or 4 years ago, and we had decided that we weren't going to make home-based businesses do a business license. So, when I got a business license an application in for someone, they, put down consulting. So I called him to see if he had to fill out a business license, and that's why it's up to you.
Let me look at that. If y'all exclude home-based businesses,
We said we were going to table it until, because there's different things with it, it's new, you know, to do a business license for a home-based business. But someone had brought up somebody that had a home-based business in town, and we discussed it to find out if they had to get a business license or not, and it just kinda got, well, right now, we'll just do the regular businesses that we know are generating income in the community. So, when somebody applied for a business license, I didn't know if they had to or not, so I called the lawyer, and that's what we need to discuss. Cause if we do it for one, then everybody that has businesses in the, yeah, that you know has a business, yeah. So, I just wanna be legal across the board.
give me a couple of days to look at it, and I'll let you know.
What is a home-based business?
It's a business that's based out of your home that you make
know,
money.
a lot of people work at home now,
Or
they
what?
have their companies at home.
Well, I would imagine consulting is a home-based business, but I don't know, it didn't have any,
Well, what's a regular business?
Well, you got a gas station down there.
that's not your house.
Well,
You
not
don't-
all our business is home-based.
Why, is it in your house?
No, I'm talking about everybody that's in here has got a business that's home based.
It's a,
I don't see being funny.
what do you think?
You don't have a business, you work for somebody else, you work for the state.
Exactly.
So I don't,
So she doesn't have a
I don't
home-based
have a home
business.
But somebody could be, running a service station, and that would be home based.
no,
No.
So what's a home based business?
it's when you
Work.
work from home, you have a company, you do it over the computer.
Something that you run out of your house.
So what about poultry growers, are they home based? Chicken houses?
No, if you live in it, maybe.
Huh?
They have their farm.
Okay, we really need to move on.
No, we don't need it, I need to get this clear. Home-based business, that, I mean, to me.
You don't have a storefront. You could be, let's say if you're a writer and you write from home, and you make money off your writing, that's a home-based business.
And what? That's all, that's all.
Something like that. Yeah.
So, and you, I mean, well. So if I do anything at home to make money, that's a home-based business?
No,
Not
Jim.
necessarily, no. If you put it on your
If I-
tax return, that you have a business in your home, that is a home-based business.
I just think it's so confusing, I don't think.
I'll look that up and I'll let y'all know.
Okay.
Move it on.
All right, next thing on the agenda is, meetings and meeting agendas. And when we have to give notice and who we have to give notice to. My understanding is that there were some people that were wondering what sort of notice had to be given for like a work session or things like that. At the beginning of every year in January, we set a schedule. We set a schedule for a regular work session, we set a schedule for a regular meeting. We post that at City Hall in January, and we send that out, to the newspaper, for regular meetings. And so I heard that some people had thought that we were supposed to give 24 hours notice of every regular meeting. We've already done that. Once you do it in January, you're not required to do it again. The 24-hour notice is for any additional meetings, like a call meeting or some sort of special meeting like that. So once you've given notice back in January for these regular meetings, you don't have to do it again. The agendas that we need to give out, we actually are not required to give out an agenda until we're requested to. OCGA 50-14-1 says that the agenda shall be available upon request. So if somebody calls you up and says they want an agenda, give them an agenda, but we're not even required to send out the agenda to the newspaper. I know customarily we do send it out to media, but technically they're supposed to request it from us.
I talked to that gentleman today, the person from, who is our legal organ. And I talked to him today and he knew that, he knew all that, and I did say about I will send you a meeting, not before the work session, but I will send it to him before the regular meeting. And, you know, we had another person that we always send everything to, but no longer with them, so I talked to the person that is in charge of that, and he was very nice and told me that he understood that, and a citizen had called him, well, not a citizen of Bowersville, but anyways, had called him and he said that he misunderstood what the guy was telling him, that he thought he was talking about a called meeting. So he does know the rules and regulations. And I also told him that I would be more than glad to, and I sent him a copy of because he said he didn't have it, but the newspaper did have it, so probably Michael had it, for the regular meetings that we have, which is the second and third Thursdays of the month. So I sent him all that, and he was very, very nice, and we're good with them. I do have one more question for you though. Is the newspaper is our legal organ? Okay, what about the radio?
They're not.
No, the only thing state law requires us to give notice of meetings is the legal organ.
That's
Now,
what I need to
customarily,
know.
we give it to the radio station as well, that's fine, we can give it out to as many people as we want. The only people we have to give notice to is the paper.
And if they call me and want a copy of the agenda for the regular meeting, I don't have to give them my draft one, do I? I mean, I can, but it's not set in stone yet, so it's just a draft.
Here's my thing, we actually have an agenda for the work session. We're looking at it right now. It says draft on there, but that is our agenda because we always follow it. So that is our agenda for the work session. So if somebody calls up and wants an agenda for the work session, I would send them that. If somebody calls up and wants an agenda for the meeting,
it off, then, you know, I mean, cause sometimes there's stuff on here that we just don't do, or I shouldn't say just don't do, but, you know, if there's a change or something. Like, okay, as example, the speakers that are on here, they're not gonna be on there for the regular session, because they're talking at the work session.
Well, when you do the meeting agenda for the regular meeting, you would take those off.
Correct, so I'm just making sure that that's, so I would just tell them it's a draft, subject to change, and I would send them the regular one just before the meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions on that? All right, that's all I've got.
Thank you, Doug. Committee updates, Jeff, you
Got,
got anything?
got a couple of things, thank you and your wife, are gonna get those signs and apples. We don't go down unless our beloved dogs are playing, so, but, they're beautiful, I mean, they are beautiful, they look so good. Well, we hadn't got started on, but we're gonna hopefully have the poles, and maybe try to get them up here in another week or so.
I mean, the workshop?
No, I got them at my house.
What signs are these?
These are signs for cemetery, and they look really, really, really good. I think they look better than Crossroads.
Look to the effect of call the town.
Where no work can be done in the cemetery until they call in here, because we had problems with, running over graves and everything else, so we'll fix that before we ask.
I have a question for cemetery committee. If someone is going to be buried in the cemetery, all right, do they call you so you can mark it?
Yes, if they buy, here the last 4 years, I've been marking off the where they can buy. And, I mark, what we do is I get down there, we go over and mark it with an orange paint, where
Okay.
it is, with the ones that they buy.
Okay,
And then I come back and then on the main map or legend, whatever, then I put it on there and see the name it is. So
okay, I just wanna make sure that they're calling you.
Yeah, you got, they are, and so far, everybody has called, but the problem that we have, a company, I guess, come in and ran over a grave, and that's, we just need to know when they're gonna be up there.
And coping and things like that.
Right, and also there's a lot of unmarked graves up there, so you got to kind of be careful with what you do, or you'll bury somebody on top of somebody. So that's another thing, and we're running out of space up there, so that was one reason I was so glad we done the Calaveras. Because, that helps a bunch, they won't be buried in the city cemetery. Okay, on the other thing I got on committee is the car show. It is really, it's sounding good, people are really, we went to, the car show down at Manicog, I passed out flyers. I'm getting flyers up, I'm trying to get with businesses about door prizes and stuff like that, but I think it's gonna be a really, really good car show. I mean, also, one thing that I wanted to bring up, and instead of talking about committees, we're doing an air cool, show with an air cool trophy, we're giving, one thing to that trophy, we're giving an air cool trophy away. Well, that's air cool would be like a Volkswagen or a Corvair or something like that. I don't know if y'all know, about 2 weeks ago, Ben Carey died. He was a resident here, and I don't know if you didn't know him, you missed out, he's a good fellow. I went down and talked with, who was it? Yeah, Trican Sports. They done the trophies for the Royston show, and they were beautiful. But now, the cost of the trophies is $60 a piece. Now, they got pamphlets that are not pamphlets, plaques for around $30. That looks really, really good too. So I thought about, since this is our first show, let's go with the cheaper. And, so I need to put that on the agenda, get y'all, give me, I guess we have to vote on that one, or not?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll just get him to do it, but what I'd like to do on the air, because I'd like to do that, being a member of Ben here, since he wasn't counting on city wrestling. Okay. And, that's all I got, that's all I got.
How many prizes will you be giving?
Trophies.
That's what I mean, awards.
I don't have to.
I'll be right back.
Jeff, can we continue on?
Go ahead.
Get back.
I think y'all know
they shouldn't, they shouldn't. Okay. While he's gone, we'll run on down to old business, True Vista and camera at the park, if you got any, David, if you got any news on that?
The only reason that it's on the agenda is because we voted to go ahead and do it, but we're not doing anything. We need to order the cameras, we need to not drop the ball, we need to get them.
We need to just do what we need to do.
Well, I'm not ordering them. I mean, I will if you tell me to, but y'all need to discuss what you want and what price range and all of that, and then let me know.
Sandy, go ahead.
Do we have the internet down there?
We don't have anything down there.
Yeah, they gotta come and install.
True, we were gonna,
Okay.
sorry.
Go
We
ahead.
were gonna get True Vista, right? to come.
Right.
Okay. So where did we, where is that at this point?
We're waiting on the cameras.
Oh, okay.
I think we gotta buy the cameras, right?
Mhm.
And we wanted to go to night vision, right? Like where we'll see at night.
Right, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, on the trophies, there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it'll be around $210.
Can you wait a week for us to vote on that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if somebody else knows somebody that does trophies or something, I just stop. Yeah, it'll be 30 on the plants, 60 on the big trophy.
All right, you done?
I'm done.
We've discussed, True Vista cameras at the park, do we need to talk about that anymore?
Well, yeah.
Let's do something. I mean,
Yeah, we gotta do something, cause we're waiting, all I need for is somebody to figure out how much money he wants, somebody needs to research it. I've done some on my part, Jeff, you said you knew a guy that you
I know a
were
guy
gonna
that
talk
can
to?
install them, he don't sell them, but he can install them.
Oh, okay, well, can somebody get on the internet and look too, and then we can put our stuff together and see, vote on which ones you want?
I will.
Okay.
I'll do it.
All right.
I'll have something.
And I'll do mine and we can compare
Make
and,
sure they're weatherproof and wireless too.
Well, I mean, that certainly wouldn't do anything.
thank you, ma'am.
All right, any more on that? Okay, speed detection device update?
Yeah, what's the status?
I haven't done anything with it.
I did go talk to the state trouble,
Yeah.
and they promised me that they would be over here some of the busiest times of the day. And, if you don't see any of them, then let's call the, I guess the chief officer or whoever up there and remind them again.
I've seen them,
Oh, they've been approved.
117. No.
They're supposed to be up here.
Somehow we need to get to the bottom, because we've done what we're supposed to do, and the county says, I don't know.
Real confused, go ahead.
Doug, I know that you asked for that permit. Did you find out anything? You asked for the application.
You sent it to me, and I haven't done anything with it, I'm sorry, I forgot about it. I'll have you an answer by Thursday.
It's been done,
Yeah, I can look it up.
but there's something that's not connecting. It's not on the county's list, but
You call the state, they refer you to the county, you call the county, they refer you to the state.
right.
It's gonna pass the book.
Okay, the last legal thing that I know of, and I've been through all of this 3 years ago. The only thing, they can apply, Hart County can apply for a permit. All we can do is ask them. We can't make them, we can ask them if they will apply for a permit to run radar. Even if they apply for a permit, they have to change their roads to include us.
Right.
So we can't make them do that either. So the only thing we can do, the only resource we have right now is to ask county to put us on their roads. So that's the only thing we can do, is ask them to they have to change their roads, send it to the DOT, and then apply for a permit.
And from what the county says is,
The state is not sending them. the
right,
information.
the state is not sending them that information. They had acted like they are willing to do that, but they've got to have something
Okay.
coming down the pipe from the
Alright,
state.
I can call the last person I talked to and find out what exactly that we need to do. I was under the impression that they had to contact them to add their streets onto their ordinance.
I think they do.
That's what I
They're
thought.
waiting for
So, but the DOT can't do anything for us until they make that change, and it has not been made yet. That's why they can't apply for a permit, because and I will call, the people that I've talked to and find out who can change the streets, cause if the county's waiting for DOT to change the streets, I'm pretty sure the county has to change their ordinance to
Well, they can't,
add.
they
They do,
cannot.
but they, unless it's on a list that they get from the state, they say they can't do it.
Right.
Okay, well, I will contact them Monday and find out, and then you can then contact them for the permit
Well,
after
yeah,
this change.
and
Alright.
All right. Go ahead.
Doug, I'll work with you on that.
If you don't mind, yeah, cause
I have a couple contacts.
you've
That's-
called people already.
Yes. I have.
So what, they just ask them about it.
Back and forth.
I mean, I think we deserve about.
Well, the state patrol told me they can run a radar anywhere they want to. So,
All right, under new business, we got 2020 budget. Explain that to us.
Well, it's just something we need to start thinking about, you know, it's gonna be here before you know it.
I thought we had already done the budget.
We did, this is for next year.
Come on.
What's
wrong with it?
Well, I thought we did 2020 budget in 2019.
Not
It was 2019.
I thought we already did. Okay.
it has to be in, what, November?
Not,
Well,
No,
that's
not to
some-
the end of the year.
well, that's something we will need to look
What
at,
was,
in
Mr.
the-
Green doing down here?
I believe it's.
He doesn't do, that's the audit,
Okay,
that's
okay,
all.
okay.
Also, I feel like it would be, when we're doing that, that our, Pruitt should be involved in that process of developing the budget for the new year. As he'll be the new mayor, it would be good for him to be involved in that, so he doesn't walk in like we did, all going, oh my gosh, you know, so. So, and it is a process.
Right, you're right.
Do y'all wanna have a special meeting just for budget talk? We've done that before.
No,
No.
no, but that would be nice. Good.
I noticed in our ordinance book, I actually looked at it today under budget, big ordinance book,
Right.
that we actually, do need to do it a little earlier than we've been doing. And we probably can pass a resolution on that.
What is it
An
that we had to have in, we had to have it in before the first year, before December, we had to do something, put that budget?
We have to
Because
put
if
in
you
a
don't,
year, we have to
if
put
you
in
don't have it by the
a-
first year, you're not in compliance.
Right. But it really needs to be done a little bit earlier than now.
Go ahead.
I know the county, and there's a lot of other towns, they start in August.
Right.
So they can work through it, figure out the budget, and then they can pass it and have enough time to do a first first
Yeah,
vote,
public
second
comment.
vote, yeah. and
Public
go on.
comment on that, and also, really and truly, we've been working, kind of backwards after going to a couple of, training sessions through GMA on taxation and budgets and all of that. You're supposed to set your budget, and then the millage rate is to meet the budget, and we do the opposite. We have never increased taxes. I don't wanna increase taxes, I pay them just like everybody else does, but your budget should be set first. And then, you know, what the taxes need to be to make that budget. Just like everybody
budget. Cause it's all falling on me and you guys don't know what I do in that office. I don't have time to start the budget in August.
I know.
So if y'all want to get together and help me do the budget, that'd be fine, but if y'all are,
Not right.
it's too much, I can't do it.
I think in the charter it says the mayor and the clerk.
The-
Does.
Yes, it does.
Something we need to look at in the future, not anything to change right now.
Also, council, people who goes in office after election, I think they should be involved in, if we're gonna have it done by them. Or be input to it.
Well, the thing about it, there's only a couple of council members that can come together and work on the budget. If they have more than that, then it's a quorum and,
Yeah.
I was saying.
That's why it's a special meeting.
I didn't think about that.
but then, well, I mean, people coming in, they're not in the quorum yet, I mean, you know.
Can we put that on the council meeting or to have a special meeting for the budget?
You wanna have a call meeting?
Well, special call, don't you think? So we can talk about the budget.
I don't know, I'm
And to
just
help
asking.
you. Oh, I mean, you need help, so I just think it might be a good thing to do. What do you think?
It's a long process, because there are so many line items that it takes a good bit of time to actually
So don't
go
do
through
it.
there.
You're saying don't do
I'm
it.
just saying, be ready to spend
Well, you've been in
some
it.
time. Yes, yes, and it is a process.
And I know you're very busy too.
You know,
Okay,
It's just,
so, you gonna.
I think y'all should give me more hours, so I
Me
have more
too.
times, more time.
So, I guess, y'all gonna be communicating on the phone about the budget?
We'll get out, I gotta get caught up and then we can move forward with that. I try.
So can we move on down to the next item? Let's go. Okay, now we get to the speakers for the work session.
Alright, I'm sorry, I didn't give you the list, did I?
Miss Teresa Shirley, you're up.
Yeah, there you go.
You got 5 minutes.
Okay. Can I come up there?
Absolutely.
I never met you. Nice to meet you.
Doug, I've never met you, Tate. The rest of you, I think I know, maybe, I don't know Alicia Barnett, but I believe that's Alicia back there.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Alrighty. I'm gonna speak for 5 minutes since the clock started.
Yep.
My name is Teresa Shirley. I have lived in the town limits of Bowersville for 36 years. I love this town, and I desire only what is best for Bowersville. Having said that, I am opposed to the Bowersville Downtown Development Authority. After research, I have found the only small towns in Georgia which have DDAs consist of a population of between 1 and 4,000 people. Bowersville does not yet meet that criteria. Secondly, there are a lot of issues which need to be ironed out before a DDA is put into place in Bowersville. For instance, a town council which is not controlled by a certain council member by the name of Kagan. Think I'm wrong? I've got really nasty text that she sent to another council member. Or another sitting council member by the name of Hensley, who has decided exactly who will be on Bowersville's DDA. Being absent from the last regular council meeting, Ms. Hensley sent an email dated August 15th, 2019, to Town Clerk Debbie Walker saying, "The following are the people I recommend for the DDA. After naming the people, Ms. Hensley concludes her email by saying, "This needs to be voted on tonight." Wasn't done, however. Town attorney did not have his act together. What is the big hurry? What is the big hurry? Thirdly, the issue of being cow-tied to certain citizens at large by the names of Cagle, Nolan, and Barnett. That is, if Barnett is not elected to town council in November. Well, I won't get into the removal of campaign signs, although rest assured we all know who is removing the Melissa Bailey Holloway and Ted Jurgens signs. You are trying to hide behind GDOT. But we too have called GDOT. We know the names of the complainers. Oh, what a tangled web you weave when first you practice to deceive. We are just really appalled at your juvenile antics. Next, I anticipate you will be rolling yards with toilet paper. Just wondering too, how can Miss Barnett serve on the town council if by chance she is elected and yet has her house on the market to sell? Look on Zillow, her house is listed for sale. Does not a person need to reside in the town limits of Bowersville to serve on the town council? I'm asking for a friend. Ms. Hensley's recommendations for the Bowersville DDA as of August 15, 2019 were Adam Sheridan, Steve Moshe Jr., Alicia Barnett, and Mrs. Hensley misspelled Alicia's first name, George Nolan, Matthew Butler, Melissa Turpin, and Kelly Cagle representing the council. Now, due to the fact that Kelly Cagle will not be a member of town council come January 1st, 2020, the list has been modified. Cindy Hensley will be the person on the DDA to represent the town council. Melissa Turpin, her daughter, has been removed. Kelly Cagle will serve as a citizen at large on the DDA. But what about Alicia Barnett if she is elected to town council? Or if she moves to Timbuktu? Does this make any sense to you? Finally, if this blessed DDA is going to happen come hell or high water, I think it ought to fall under the auspices of the 2020 town council and mayor as to who will serve on the DDA. I am just trying to save the town money and the avoidance of another election should Ms. Hensley's recommendations fall apart at the seams. And I'm trying to save the town from perhaps even a lawsuit.
Your time is nearly up.
Since this town council has already spent thousands of dollars on stupid speed bumps, which lasted about 2 minutes, maybe they should have learned a lesson and consider ways to save our taxpayer dollars in the future. Thank you for the opportunity to express my opinion.
You still got to give me 3 more seconds. Okay, next person is Robbie Moore.
I think Mindy and I are gonna be repeating ourselves, so I'll just let her say it, but it goes back to being able to talk during work sessions.
Okay.
Like when Cindy was making comments, I don't understand why I couldn't have said, got a question.
That's just
So
fine.
I'll let her.
Yeah, I mean, basically the same type thing, I mean, after
Okay, Mindy, you're up.
several of us attending these meetings, you know, to me, a work session, when I've always thought about those, is an informal type thing, where you discuss and you take care of business, that kind of stuff. So, you know, like I know at the last meeting that when somebody had a question about the DDA, like, when we've got questions or comments or something like that, I don't know why during that point, we can't just, you know, raise our hand, ask a question, that kind of stuff. I mean, I understand the concern about it getting out of hand and, you know, that kind of stuff, but that's what the mayor's job is, to control the meeting room. So, you know, it kind of puts it back, in his court there. I do understand what, you know, Mr. Kidd said earlier, you know, if somebody's wanting to address a certain thing or wanting something, you know, to their property, then, you know, by all means, yes, fill out a form and, because at that point, you're wanting to kind of address the council. Whereas, you know, a lot of stuff, I think people sometimes just wanna ask a question or, hey, have you thought about this? You know, we talked about, you know, wanting to do a cannery, you know, there's things that, you know, some of us may know about or just other things that, you know, at some point where we can just, you know, maybe give our 2 cents. But if we have to fill out a form every time, we don't know what's gonna be on the agenda. We don't, you know, we can't, you know, plan ahead. So, you know, and y'all want us here, so I think, you know, it's time for us just to, if we wanna ask a question or make a comment, for us to be given that opportunity during the actual talk, not wait until the very end, cause 9 times out of 10, by the end, everybody's ready to go. So you're not really listening to what people are saying anyway, so, that's just my thoughts. Yes,
Can I ask you a question? Are you talking about at the work session or the meeting?
I'm talking more about at the work session.
Thank you.
Cause I mean, that's when you're actually, you know, in my mind, really hashing through things, talking about stuff, that kind of stuff. Now, you know, at a regular meeting, I understand at that point, you need to fill out a form, and I'm more specifically talking about just the work session.
So what you're saying, you, and I think I agree with you, but you think that the audience should be able to raise their hand during our discussion and ask a question?
Yes, or make a comment, or, you know, but at the same time, you know, if it gets out of hand, or, you know, they're speaking a very long time, then, you know, as the one in control of the meeting, you can say, okay,
Right.
we gotta move on.
And if we don't have policies set in place, it's hard to do that.
You had to ask a question.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you, Mindy. That's a lot of good comments there. You still got a little bit longer.
No, I'm good.
Short and sweet.
That's right.
All right. The next person on the list is Annette Neal. All right.
Thank you all for your time tonight. My main focus of my concern tonight is the development and the selection of the DDA list. As I understand it, Councilwoman Cindy Hensley has been in charge of putting the list together in the past, based upon interested parties approaching her. Last week, I filed an open records request with the town of Bowersville. While I received some of my requests yesterday and some today, I discovered in the records an email dated August 25th, 2019 at 7 p.m. In that email, Mrs. Hensley, you state that there are misconceptions floating around. Along with that email are attachments for an application for the DDA and an explanation of what someone on the DDA would do, or what would be expected of them. I'm unsure if the misconceptions that you are referring to have anything to do with a comment that the Bowersville Neighborhood Watch Facebook page had made on August 20th, 2019, in regards to the DDA list. In that comment, the following were named as it was rumored that they were included on the DDA list: Kelly Cagle, Alicia Barnett, Melissa Turpin, George Nolan, Matthew Butler, Adam Sheridan, and Steve Moshe Jr. I also have an email dated August 15th, 2019 from you, Mrs. Hensley. This email was sent to Debbie Walker, the town clerk, at 2:38 p.m. That is almost 3.5 hours before the meeting that night, a work session meeting, I will point out. In that email, you state, and I quote, "The following are the people I recommend for the DDA: Adam Sheridan, Steve Moshe Jr., Alicia Barnett, Activities Director, George Nolan, Matthew Butler, Melissa Turpin, Kelly Cable, representing the council. This needs to be voted on tonight." If those names sound familiar to everyone here, it is because they are exactly the same that were rumored, or perhaps a misconception, yet they are in your email. You wanted the vote on August 15th. You wanted a vote even though 2 council members would be voting as a direct conflict of interest: Kelly, because she was on the list, and yourself, because your daughter, Melissa Turpin, was on the list. However, the story changed and the applications were open up until yesterday. Now there is another issue. Why is it so important to get the DDA voted on and passed so close to the election? Kelly and Jeff will be leaving us soon. Unless one or both of them are already confirmed on the DDA list, they will not be working with the DDA. Whoever wins the election for Post 1 and Post 4, in addition to our new mayor, will be working with the DDA. Why not table the vote, or even the selection of the DDA list, until the new council members come in? We're only a couple of months out from the election. Do you really want your first act towards the council members you will be working with to be a block for them to participate in the selection of a committee that they will be working with? Is that what you want your first act to be? Because it looks that way. I urge you to do the right thing, Councilwoman Hensley. Do not go the way of the speed bumps and wait until you have lost the trust in the people and then come back and do right. I believe in being fair and giving credit for the good deeds done, as well as exposing the bad decisions made. And I came here tonight with the intention of commending you for your vote to take up the speed bumps after you admitted that you had not done your due diligence. However, while reading the text messages between yourself and Kelly Cagle, while you did argue that you felt you did the right thing, you also state that your vote to take up the speed bumps was for political reasons. And I don't know what to make of that, other than I can't see
You
how
got
you
40 seconds left.
expect any of your constituents to have any trust in a single thing that you say when you show one face at these meetings and another in private. Thank you.
You know, I've worked on the Bowersville for 4 years, and I've put in a lot of time and effort.
And now, I was gonna ask her to apologize to Kelly about talking about her being a dog.
David, you're out of line.
No, excuse me.
You're out of line. Okay.
The only reason I wanted the DDA was I have worked, I don't guess it really matters now. I put in a lot of time and effort in trying to make our town not disappear. You may not realize what we realize on the council. I remember John Bailey working just as hard to keep this town alive. We came real close to losing it, and we could lose it again. We could lose our charter. I know some people think that would be a great thing, but some of us who have family who have been here for a long time want to see it survive. I do not ever admit to being perfect. After I put that list out, for one thing, the next thing I did is I took my daughter off because I said that's not right. And then we decided, you know, we need to have an application process. At the beginning, because no one, hardly ever, comes to our meetings and trying to get anybody to volunteer to help with our activities here is just like, there's nobody.
Pull them into you.
It is. I mean, there's nobody who steps up to the plate, who comes and wants to help us do things. So I was excited that we had found 7 people who actually wanted to do it. And they were qualified people. So I was just really excited about that. You know, we thought about doing the DDA a while back. We went and we got trained on it and everything. And we said, you know, there's just not 7 people in town who would do it. So we put it on the back burner. But now that we have gotten plans for our park to expand, for the gym to be redone, the building across the street, these buildings here, this one needs a lot of work done to it. There's a lot you can do through a DDA that can't be done through the council. I don't believe any of us ever intended for it to be a bad thing for our town. It was simply a way, because they have so much more flexibility in the things they can do than us. Maybe it's not the right thing for our town. I'll admit when I'm wrong, if it's not the right thing, and it's not what y'all want. I'm not too proud to do that. You know, we can, hey, drop back and run again, try something different. If that's not what you want.
Never said that. I said let them.
Well,
Anybody.
that's fine too. I don't have an issue with that. I just wanted to get something done. I want to get us so that we can move forward with things that I believe everybody would be proud of. That's my heart, that is my desire. It's never been to hide behind anything or to have a hidden agenda or anything like that. If you've known me in my life, I hope I have always been that type of person. I come from here, I end up staying here and dying here. And I wanna see what's best for this community. And if you have something to say to me, please say it to my face. I always live, in the Bible it says, if you have a problem with somebody, you should go to them and talk to them. So if you have an issue that you wanna talk to me about and you can sit down and talk with me, please do it. Cause I'll listen to you. And then we can go from there. And I believe most of us here would be open to that. We want what's best for everybody. May not make everybody happy, but we want to move forward and make our town really, I would love to make some of our county officials eat their words and, let Bowerston really be a star that shines in Hart County. A little quaint, little unique, little town. So, I spilled my guts.
I got one thing I want to say. When we took this, when we was put in office here 4 years ago, 3 councilmen had already resigned. It was Mayor John Bailey and Judy Burdett was always up here running the place. Couldn't run it, because you gotta have, we took this thing over, the first thing we were told was, you need a new lawnmower, you need a new lawnmower. It has lasted up to just this past year. And at the time, the last administration not seen anything there. All these guys and girls have worked hard. Jim has done, and bless your heart, Mr. Pruitt. Bless your heart. But at the time, they kept about $45,000 in the bank. We got over $100,000, been that way for 3 years. So we went from 40,000 to 100,000. Now, how did we do that? What we done is we cut corners and we saved money. We didn't go out here and we looked at other franchise fees and stuff, people who were taking advantage of us and stuff. So, I know them speed bumps is always gonna be the sour grapes. And I tell you, I wish we'd have done something different. But this council and this mayor right here has worked very, very hard. And there's a lot of good things we've done. We bought the land that joins our park in there, and we got University of Georgia come up. If we could ever get a grant to do this park, they ain't nothing around here like it. And as bad as I hate to say it, there's gonna be a 4-lane coming through here. I mean, it's coming, I hate it. And I'm just gonna, I you are. But anyhow, I wanna see Bowerston grow. I wanna see it grow in the right kind of way. One of the, a lot of y'all don't know how close we come to having a chicken burning plant in this town. Or the smokestack. Bailing out instruments, about chickens and stuff. So, I don't care, I guess what I'm trying to say is, good business is fine, but, I want Bowerston to kind of stay the way it is. But, change is coming, whether we like it or not. Well, that's all I got to say. Sorry, Ken.
Okay, Mr. Jordan.
I'm sorry, George.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the things that we're remiss in doing is the applause for Cindy for what she said. She's sincere, and she deserves the applause that Teresa got, or anybody else got in this room for saying what you said. I'll reserve my comments for a future meeting.
Okay.
We have 4 minutes and 40 seconds.
I yield.
All right, moving right along, speakers for the regular meeting, David Cagle.
Jim, not to interrupt, but
You're not,
no, 1 second.
all right.
I went over there to sign up for the regular meeting on August the 26th and asked Debbie if I need to sign up to speak at this meeting. She told me no.
No, I didn't.
Yes, she did. I said, do I need to fill out that piece of paper to sign? You said, no, you did.
I guess it's he said, she said, but no, sir. I
No,
did
it's
not.
not so, Debbie. You're not gonna do that.
Wait a minute,
I
you
stopped
filled
by,
out.
Okay,
way out of town and signed the paper.
Right
Oh, and I
on.
signed enough.
He's the big bully.
Okay, hold on, folks, hold on. David, if you wanna speak now, speak.
I do want to speak,
All right.
and it's nothing bad.
You can't
I'm
change
trying to
policy
save the
yet.
city.
Yeah, why are you planning to change the
You guys
policy?
voted to change the
You
policy.
said you wouldn't change
Okay,
policy.
do I have,
You have to
attorney,
vote to
do
do
I
that.
have
It's
a
a written
commission,
policy.
do I have a right to do that?
No.
You
Yes,
said
we
you
didn't
wouldn't
vote
do
on
it.
Huh?
You just said you wanted to change the policy.
Okay, David, I can't let you talk, I'm sorry.
Can't change it this time.
But I will say this, you're a liar.
David, you're out of line, now sit down and be quiet right now.
She's a bald-faced liar. I said, do I need to sign that piece of paper?
Pulling your
We
finger
call
at me
you.
like
Yeah,
that.
sit there.
You know, when you speak, we have trouble.
Really? Guess what?
May I say something?
No, you may not.
It just calls.
No, no, no.
Call the law.
I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
You don't have no big one.
Yes, you do.
Oh, motion.
All right, got a motion, got a second? All in favor? All right.
Okay, Cindy and Kelly, in light of being upfront with people, is there anything else you'd like to say about me, my facts? Yeah. I don't want to suggest phone calls, don't call him, are you kidding me? No, we don't.
Y'all sent an email to one of
So
them.
in light of being upfront, say whatever you want to say to my face.
It's from your phone to her phone.
No.
Is Matthew up here?
I put my phone.
It's an email between the two of you. All right,
Yeah.
I'll bring you.
Go to Byers. Go to Byers and make neighborhood watch. It has been messed up, but
I'll never share the phone. Never.
Get her, girl.
what's happened to
So, thank you for having my back even before I knew I needed it.
And I don't know what deal it is. You
that
said,
email
you,
with
Kelly, or you said you were monitoring
And
Jim's
I'm sorry, I don't know.
phone call. Donna was monitoring Jim's phone call.
It wasn't me.
Cindy's denying it and saying she wants to see the email
Kelly,
because I just lost my shit. Say what now?